Ba, ba, da, ba, ba, ba. Recording is in progress, as I've just been told by my computer. So yes, that only means one thing. The Vinyl Vandals, yours truly, King Fred, running solo again, is doing another interview for the Vinyl Vandals Favorite 5 podcast. Okay, and with no further ado, I'm going to pass you across to my guest tonight, who is...
My name's Steg G. I'm a Glaswegian hip-hop artist, vinyl collector, hip-hop fan for several decades now, and I'm happy to get on and chat music and hip-hop and culture to the Vinyl Vandals and yourself, Fred.
Okay, nice one. Okay, thanks very much for agreeing to do this. I'm finding it really hard, and I was saying to you off camera there before, I'm finding it really hard to get people that have promised to be on here, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Too many people are overthinking it. It's a bit of fun. Come on,
yep.
You promised to be on. People are dying to hear what you've got to say. Just come on, yeah.
Exactly. No, it's definitely something people should participate in. I love the show, getting an insight into what people are feeling, their memories of hip hop, the getting to know the characters themselves as well.
Yes.
So get involved for people on the show, reach out, make it happen.
Thank you. And what I would say is what we were talking about before as well is, for me, old school hip hop heads are a dying breed. A lot of people are sort of like, we're granddads, some of us now, and dads definitely, and just, got older, working, looking forward to retirement at some point. And some people have not carried on their record collections. They're not like me or you with record collections. Sold a lot of it, got rid of it, which is fine. But there is some of us still left, but there's not many of us. I suppose as we get older, there's less and less of us. So it's important that obviously, like I was saying to you before, I used to go to gigs with some of my friends or go and buy records with some of my friends, but some of my friends have ditched all of that and just have moved on and like different music and stuff like that. So it's important that I connect with people around the country and abroad via the internet, and it's good to hear what they're still listening to and reminding me of stuff I've forgotten about as well.
Yeah. And likewise, Fred, that's why I enjoyed the show and was delighted to be introduced to you at Lindisfarne Festival a month or two ago. It's amazing how things can connect, not just on the internet, but in the real world as well. So I'm quite excited for that, and now we're building this link too, and keeping it moving for the culture. I was quite fortunate, Fred, being involved in music and hip hop. The people I was around kind of still around.
Nice.
But I do know there's a lot of people that I did breakdance with back in the day, or did early record with us, who no longer interested in any of this. It's unfortunate. But there is a new generation who are collectors, and they're digging back, some of the young people, and looking back at these classic albums. And today my classic, something like Skinny Man, they say that's old school. And to us, that's just kind of modern classic.
Well, I suppose in respect to him, he is British old school, isn't he? He's got to be at that status now.
For sure.
He's older than him, but he is, to me, British old school. Because obviously Britain was always trying to play catch up to America, to be fair, and it took us a while to be able to bring records out and stuff like that. And we weren't as prolific as the Americans, as in, most of our British sort of like old school only ever brought one album out, if that, or a couple of singles.
It's unfortunate. These days I collect UK hip hop albums. That's my thing. I don't have enough money to buy every record, Fred. So I like to just get what I like. And sometimes it's hard to find UK hip hop album on vinyl. It's not really a lot out there. So that makes it dead collectible for me, and a bit more interesting as well, and makes me cherish the ones I've already got a bit more. Being part of hip hop, I appreciate how hard it is to make hip hop music in the UK for people. A lot of respect for the artists out there in the UK. So I'm looking at that today. Yeah, sorry, Fred.
I think what's interesting as well is obviously I was brought up. My mum and dad came. For those who know, most people do know, but those who don't know, my mum and dad came here in the late 50s, early 60s. My dad came first, and then my mum followed afterwards. They came here and my dad especially brought records with him from Ghana, West Africa, where he's from. And I was brought up around that, and you sort of rebel against it a bit when you're younger, because you're like, it's not in English. I don't understand what they're saying. all of that type of stuff. You know what I mean? But as you affectionately remember it as I've got older, and me and my sisters and my brother, we always remember certain tunes. It reminds us of certain times, like house parties, because my family were always having house parties. My dad was, and it reminds us of stuff, you know. And I've started playing them again over the last, especially during lockdown. And reading my dad's record collection. My dad's been giving us all these old records to play.
Amazing.
And I've been sort of like invited off Sandy, who runs our sort of community radio station here in Newcastle, which is called, you'll know it's not just in Newcastle. He's got artists as far away as Thailand who are on the show as well now, because it's an internet radio show called Method Radio. So I do a 2-hour set once a month on there called Crisscross Rhythms. And it's interesting because obviously I've been digging now to find some of this old stuff, and some of it is really expensive. So I've been buying reissues so I can play them. And it's interesting because there's a lot of reissues starting to come up with companies like Analog Africa and Strut and a few others that are bringing all this stuff back. And it made me think about what you've just said there. I was thinking about this the other day. Wouldn't it be great if some of this old stuff that we couldn't get on vinyl, because it was never brought on vinyl, because some of it was on 12 inches or it was on CD. It would be great if some of that was, some company came along and started putting them all out again on vinyl. Do you know what I mean? Like reissues, because I don't care if it's a reissue or if it's a
same
collector.
Same. No, I'd rather have the originals, but through the years I've either lost some records. Sometimes I've needed money. I've sold some records. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't have records for just for numbers. Every one of my tunes and records is a memory of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some occasion, maybe I went to a different city.
There's a job out there somewhere for somebody, you know. I know those guys, I forgot what they're called now. Is it in Germany who do it? I've forgotten the guy's name now, but he's
Naked Ape.
Is that his name?
No, that's it. I think that's one of the labels, because I know that's
right.
Yeah, one of the records I picked tonight has been re-released.
Is it Underground? Is it Underground or something? The series that they brought out there? Is it Underground?
Yeah, I know the compilation series. I can't remember the second title of it. Yeah. They had a lot of dope classics on that. I do like that. I respect that.
Yeah. So let's start.
Great.
Let's start with your first album. So your last album that you pick, for whatever reason, it's not necessarily your favorite one, you know, because I know some people get touchy when I say that. But you've got 5 albums that you're going to pick. Have you gone UK or American? Just tell the people.
100% UK tonight, Fred.
Okay, nice one. Will you come back in the future and do an American one?
Yeah, I'd love to. Got a nice US collection of classics too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll definitely have you back. Don't let it be too long though.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, nice one. So let's give us your first one then. Let's talk about your first one.
First one's been on the show several times, Fred, and it's really hard to deny its significance. For me, it's certainly significant because when I heard this, I knew you could be a UK hip hop artist and be successful throughout the globe. And talking about the classic, the Horns of Jericho.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know how many times it's been on your podcast. Quite a few, probably.
Not loads. It has been on. It's definitely been on a few times, but it's not enough. And rightfully so, it should be. You know, it is seen by a lot of people as a classic. So I'm not surprised that it's been on a lot. And
I can just show off this one's actually signed by DJ Supreme as well.
Nice.
And it's a reissue one, Fred, because it comes from the German label Naked Ape.
Oh yes, that's the ones. Yeah.
But for me, Hijack, obviously, been growing up, loving hip hop, and then discovering a UK hip hop scene through the Musical Life label.
Yeah.
And a lot of their releases are not a lot of maybe UK hip hop was traveling as far up north as Glasgow.
Right. Okay.
For various reasons. I think a lot it was small prints, small presses, 200 copies, 500 copies max, and maybe just hit the central UK belt mostly. But things like Musical Life and stuff like that was certainly like a mainstream label at the time. And we were definitely getting exposed to a lot of great UK rap from that label. And Hijack certainly stood out. I remember the anticipation for this album as well. Couldn't they believe that a UK rap band got signed to Ice-T's label?
Yeah.
Huge.
Major.
Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
That was such an inspiration for us to be like, what? Things can happen. And American rappers at the top of the game, because Ice-T was at the top of the game at that point. They took UK rap serious and invested in it. Yeah. So that was a definite wake-up call for me. And the album took a while to come out, a long time. I can't remember exactly how long it took, but it felt like years. And then it came out.
There was some kind of delay, I think, as well.
Yeah. It felt like years, and then it did come out. And then I remember hearing it and being a wee bit disappointed at the time.
Right.
But that's because I had so much anticipation for what Hijack were in my head.
Yeah.
And how they were going to change music.
Yeah.
And there's some storming singles like Still was before this. The Bad Man Was Robin single was decent. It was all right, but you could tell it was starting to change the sound a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the album is still a classic for me with the inspiration it gave me. And I feel like for the UK rap scene at the time, even though a lot of people look at Comanche Sly now and think he was sort of American sort of rap boys, that was the way you had to rap to be took serious back then.
Right.
That was the sort of benchmark. You had to sort of talk a rap and sound a certain code almost.
Okay.
To be authentic.
Right,
and if they were coming out too broad with their own original accents, I think it was just a bit too early. But you can see there's a halfway line between some of the voices and the tones on the album as well. Also, the scratching was certainly a thing. DJ Supreme smashing it, you know what I mean, and Undercover smashing it. Great record all round, Fred, and definitely the artwork, the imagery. I've seen Hijack perform twice in Glasgow. One time supporting Ice-T.
Yeah.
Jeez, they look like the IRA on stage, Fred, with a mask on and all that. At the time, that is all the reference we had. No, it's the drill look.
It's funny because they're claiming it as though they've just invented it, but
if you take a photo of Hijack and they're on stage, they look like the drill MCs. And seeing them perform and seeing the energy of that, tremendous band, and also just such an innovation with what they were doing. The songs were, they were songs, Fred. They weren't just necessarily rapping about how they were the best rappers, although there was that in it. It's obviously bravado, but there was concepts. There was songs about chasing money and concepts about life and having fun and different things they were rapping about in the album. So really felt like it was a good album, not just a collection of songs.
I never got the chance to see Hijack. They're one of the groups I never saw that were out of the big UK groups. You know, I never got to see them. You know,
seen them with Ice-T in the Barlands in Glasgow. I think it's 2,000 people there, sold out venue. Seen them play with the Leaders of the New School, same venue with 200 people. Still smashed it.
There's some gigs there, Leaders of the New School and Ice-T.
Yeah, we get good shows. We get good shows, Fred.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do.
We've always cursed you because it always, whenever what has been gigs, it's always been Liverpool, Bristol, London, Manchester, Birmingham. Gets to Manchester, maybe Leeds, but not very often. And then all of a sudden, let's skip the Northeast altogether and we'll end up going to Edinburgh or Glasgow, but mainly Glasgow Barrowlands. That's what always seemed to happen. So we were always like, why do you always miss us out? But then
it's a shame. It's a shame. That's how you build hip hop scenes, is by having these events in the cities, so people can congregate and get energy.
What I would say about Newcastle is, in the surrounding areas, it's always been heavily dance and rock. It had a massive, at the time, it had a massive rock scene. You know, a lot of young people up here were into rock music and still are. And it had a massive dance scene, you know, when they were out of the rave culture. So it was hard to compete with that. And a lot of the hip hop heads up here moved away from the hip hop and went into the dance culture and the rave scene. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Newcastle sounds and feels very much similar to Glasgow, a northern city. And the interests are the same. It was rock and it was dance music, and hip hop was an underground thing that you had to look out and find hip hop heads and look out, well, there's some graffiti, there must be some hip hop heads over there that exist. Oh, they're wearing a hat or a Kangol, whatever, so they must be hip hop heads. You're looking for little signs to see who was who, but there wasn't a lot. These days it's different. I think with the generation under our generation, or maybe two under us, they're really into the music, and it's just everything for them, and it's local and it's UK and it's everything, which is dead exciting. And I know some of them are looking back, like I say, and checking the older artists before them too.
Okay, interesting. So on your Hijack, what is your favorite song of that album?
Yeah, I had to go for maybe the cliche, the phantom of the opera.
Okay.
The intro to the album.
Uh-huh.
I just love the energy of it. The beat switches up several times. It just feels really good. The production sounds awesome. It sounds like they're having fun.
Does.
You
It
know what I
still
mean?
sounds good today as well, doesn't it? It's, you know, some groups don't always sound as good today, but that still sounds
But
good
Phantom
back
still
in the day.
sounds sonically good. You know what I mean? I don't know who mixed it, mastered it, but yeah, it still sounds nice
Yeah,
today.
it does.
Um,
Definitely does.
yeah, so I have to pick the Phantom of the Opera. If people have not heard that, check that. It's great example of UK hip hop at an innovative level as well, and definitely a different track from your average.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
Classic.
nice one.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've been talking about the Barrowlands, and we've been talking about old schoolers like ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a bit of your hip hop history? How did hip hop land on you in Glasgow?
Yeah, I got into hip hop, Fred. I'll keep it brief. I've been in it a while, but I got into hip hop through breakdancing when that first hit the UK in the mid '80s. Breakdancing just took over my city and my housing scheme, as we call the places where we live. It took over everybody. It seemed like everybody was really into it for some reason, maybe through the Beat Street movies or TV adverts with breakdancers or Terry Wogan and breakdancers. I don't know, but it really took over. And there was people a couple of years older than me who were really embracing it. And as a wee guy, that was very exciting to see. This is a new sound. It's a bit similar to what you were saying earlier on about before we hit record about your dad's record collection.
Yes.
And how at the time you didn't relate to it that much. Yeah. I was the same with other music, but then when I heard hip hop, this is a new music. This is something that's mine, and I can embrace, and it's no my dad's music, and it's no my granny's music. It's ours. And also really liked to just the music and the dancing and the visual. I liked it. It was a culture, and that was heavy, intriguing. And because there wasn't a lot of it, I think people were just making up their own vision of it.
Yeah.
In Glasgow and cities in the mid '80s, there wasn't an internet to find out. There wasn't a hip hop connection. We used to listen to John Peel.
Yes.
We had tape decks ready at 10 o'clock at night. Still going to secondary school, so 10 o'clock at night you should be sleeping, and hitting the pause button when a hip hop song comes on, and hoping to get the 2 or 3 hip hop songs that night. So that week you make a fat tape. So you've got some bangers to listen to on your Walkman. That was the only place where we're getting hip hop. Occasionally you would see it in places like Terry Wogan or the BBC mainstream or whatever. Usually looked at maybe in a bit ridiculed sometimes as well, which was obviously it was a new culture at the time in the UK. I don't think it embraces a lot of new cultures as much as it should, and you probably know more about this than me, Fred. But the country's still got a lot to go with embracing its multicultural roots and where it is right now. I mean, hip hop it was like, oh, this is a total different culture shock. But everybody's doing it. And that sort of changed people's attitudes a wee bit. So started in the 80s, going to breakdancing. Breakdancing died out quite quickly. I don't really know. It just seemed to go overnight. It seemed to change. I think the dynamic changed from people being in their 13 and 14-year-old ages to being a little bit older and a football hooligan thing happening.
Right.
And not that people were into it, but people couldn't avoid it at that age.
Yeah.
If you're a young man and you're 16, 17, and you're in the late 80s and 90s, and football hooliganism and sectarianism is a massive thing, and gangs were a massive thing at that time in Glasgow.
Okay.
It's hard not to be involved in it.
So that sort of like sectarian football hooliganism and the hip hop thing. So was that?
Nah, that kept us away, Fred. Music kept us safe, and even in the scheme that we grew up in, me and the freestyle master, and that we grew up in.
Yeah.
Even though there was quite a lot of gang activity, it kept us out the way because they knew we were doing music. So I always respected that. They always just let us do our lane, even though we were weirdos with our Kango hats, trying to rap in American and all that. They sort of respected that and just let us go and not try to really involve us too much into the nonsense that was going on with that. So, and they kept us out of the nonsense, the jail, drugs and alcohol abuse, kept us focus, when it would have been dead easy to be easily led in a very
yeah.
negative path. I'm
Yeah.
always thankful to hip hop for that. And I've kind of made it my life, Fred. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I have sort of, yeah, it's my life, it's my job, it's my hobby, it's my thing in lots of ways. And
Okay.
I like to let people know about that, because I feel like the younger generation should see that you can have a life in hip hop.
Yeah.
And hip hop's not necessarily just a monetary thing either. It's about the experiences, the places and people I've met through my hip hop journey is phenomenal, Fred. And I'm not talking about big names, but there could be some big names mentioned, but just the people that I've connected with, even like yourself tonight, through the music, that I would never get the opportunity to do if I was working in my factory, or just decided, like you said earlier on, other hip hop heads have gave up the hip hop quest.
Yeah.
It's took me everywhere. Not gave me that much money, but it's gave me some amazing memories and exciting stories. So I love that, and I want other people to know that actually you can have a life in hip hop, even if you're a UK person. That's
Nice
cool.
one. Okay, thanks for that. Very
You're
interesting.
welcome.
Okay, let's jump into we'll come back to your hip hop history, because I want to
Sure.
delve in a bit more. But let's go back to the tunes, to the vinyl. What's your next vinyl up?
Next one is the Crispy Free.
Yes.
On Cold Sweat Records. I can't give these guys enough accolades when it comes to UK hip hop. Really UK heroes of mine.
Same.
Crispy Free have never made a bad song. Never made a bad song. Some of the pressings, the vinyl on Cold Sweat, aren't the greatest. That's no their fault. That's just UK hip hop budgets. Really innovative. Really love the fact that Crispy were representing Chorley in Yorkshire, I believe. And that was blatant in their accent. Blatant in what?
Is it Yorkshire? Is it not Lancashire? Is it not?
I think it's probably Lancashire.
Near Manchester.
It's near Manchester anyway. Yeah. I can hear it in their accents.
Yeah.
I can hear the regional dialect, and I can hear it in the lyrics as well. I can also hear the love of hip hop in it, and I can hear the flows. See the actual rap flows they're kicking on this. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
These boys can rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mikey Don is an absolute living legend. A UK guy who doesn't get the props that he should get, for probably because he didn't live in London.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because just that's it. Talented bunch. Really inspirational record. I remember just rinsing this out. I wrote this one out, listening to it yesterday. I was jumping all over the place. Spotting it.
Can you remind me? Because I think I've got that album. I've got.
Yeah.
I think I've got. Is it 2 albums in an EP?
Okay.
I've got by them, maybe. What's on that album? Because I have got it on CD. I haven't got it on vinyl.
Okay. Can't Melt the Wax. Pop Me Like Bubblegum. What's Happening? Lots of good ones, to be honest. You know what I mean? Death and Effects. Lots of good ones. Probably when you hear the titles, you don't remember them. But when you hear the music, it's when it.
What was that
connect.
one where it don't impress me much? What's that one? Or what's it?
I know that one, Fred. I don't think
it's on that album.
I don't think it's on that one. They've got a couple of albums. Millennium. They've got an album called Millennium and a couple other bits as well. And I've got a few of them.
Right.
Really like Crispy Free for what they've done there. I think they just simplified, called themselves Crispy now at some point. Yeah. They dropped the free. Maybe it was just Mikey Don at that point. But amazing MC, amazing talent, amazing to hear them. For me, being in Scotland and hearing how they embrace their culture, their UK culture, and also they were UK black as well, and that was different. You know what I mean? To hear that perspective, and they definitely embraced that and spoke about that through their songs, and exciting to hear that.
They were very jazzy. They were very jazzy. They weren't going for that sort of like boom bappy beat. There was something different.
Very musical, Fred. Very musical.
And also, like, obviously, I remember when I heard On Tempo, and I was just like, and it's still to this day one of my top 10 UK singles.
Yeah, that's a later one from them. I guess a banger. It's a banger, though. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Just don't think I've done a bad song, Fred. No, I genuinely don't think so.
Heard Through the Gate. I think that's one of the albums, isn't it? Is
yeah,
it?
that's one too. That's one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think off the top of my head because what happened was I put them on CD and then I transferred them on my iPod, and it gets played in my car. So I don't know which one's on which album. They just all go one after the other. It's just as a lump, and I don't know which albums are on. You know. So
yeah, I'm like that these days as well. A lot of these albums, a lot of my music I listen to online and Spotify.
Yes.
But a lot of these UK albums don't exist on that.
Yeah.
They don't even exist on that. So I guess it's slept on history, some of these records now, which is a shame.
That's what I was getting at before. They need to be coming out on vinyl and people hopefully rediscover them, and also new people find them as well. Not just in this country, but abroad as well. Because I'm sure people, I know I've got cousins in America and you know, they're still discovering UK stuff that probably got laughed at the time, but now people are more open to listening to stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped by some of the sort of newer rap stuff as well.
Yeah,
somebody probably kick off and say, but you know, people like Dave and Stormzy and people like that have changed the sort of like the listening pleasure of, and people like Drake has championed UK stuff.
UK rap,
you know what I mean? And I think that's helped a lot as well. And people are now trying to find out, right? Okay, well, that's what's now. What was in the past? What became before it? And people do ask us about UK stuff.
No, same. It's definitely became as a person who's interested in collecting it or seeing it. It's definitely became a lot more expensive to try and get these records as well, because I think it's a lot more people just trying. Well, this is actually a valuable commodity in terms of history.
Yeah.
And there's not any represses at the moment, Fred, as you say, but hopefully one day we'll see a lot more.
Yeah, but also the ones that are pressed. If you go on Discogs as an example. And you see who's selling them. They're not selling them a lot of times from this country. Europe is a massive collector of or was a collector of, and they're selling them from Europe, you know.
Yeah.
And now because of Brexit, you've seen, I don't know if you've noticed recently, but the price of sending the stuff here now from Germany and Amsterdam and these places now is a lot.
Yeah, you know? I'm not even looking anymore because of that. It's not anything from the UK internally, then I'm not even going to go there. Customs and all that nonsense.
Ridiculous.
But certainly, I just like to see to support and promote and see the diversity in UK hip hop, and there's a lot of that in our sector as well. When it gets slept on, Fred. So I'm shining the light tonight. This is my top 5, and I'm very proud of these top 5, by the way. Yeah. But tomorrow, next week, they might be different. But tonight, I'm heavy proud. You know what I mean?
We keep talking about us Vinyl Vandals. I brought it up when we went to Glasgow just before, obviously, all of this foolishness of lockdown. It's for the Gods of Rap.
Oh yeah, dope.
We went to the Yard Works thing, which I thought was brilliant, by the way.
Super. Yeah.
Do you have anything to do with that?
No, but good people. Big shout to Gaz Mac. I'll make sure he's tuned in. Maybe get him on the Vinyl Vandals podcast.
You can hook that up. Hook anybody up you think.
Yeah, he's an old school head like myself. Yeah, no, for sure. No, good people. Next time you come up, we'll link for sure.
Definitely come up. We'll come up again. And one of the things I was talking about was it's great the Gods of Rap, but I'd love to see UK Gods of Rap.
Yeah, that's something. That's something. I mean, yeah,
that would be absolute. You know, and I'm not talking about no disrespect to the newer people, but I'm talking about the older ones that said they're retired, but I love them to just come up one more time.
Bring them back,
just for the fun.
Who would you have then? The UK Gods of Rap, Fred. Who would you have?
How many could I have? Well, because it's a favourite 5. Let's pick 5.
Okay, go for it. Try your favourite UK Gods of Rap. Bring them back.
It doesn't matter if no disrespect if they're dead or if they're said.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You do it. Magic ones.
London Posse, I would have to have.
Okay, big.
Okay. I would love to have MCD.
Okay, big. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd love to have Black Twang.
Woo!
Yeah. I would love to have Black Radical.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a name I've heard in years, Fred. Black Radical.
I've never seen him live. I'd love to see him live. And what would be my 5th one? 5th one. Who else? The 5th one. I can't remember what I did for my top 5 now. UK.
Okay. I couldn't tell you mine right now, but I'd like to see everyone else's in the comments. When they're watching this. You know what I mean? Because who knows? Maybe some promoter listening somewhere and thinks UK Gods of Rap.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Tremendous. You know, like if better make sure they come to Newcastle though, and not skip by this time and make us travel, because we always
No,
have to
they
travel.
need to hit the spots, Fred, for sure. You know what I mean?
Promote it properly and try and get as many people to go as possible. I don't even know if people will go to the shows, but it'd be great if they could do it, because I just think, and I think that's what they were trying to do, wasn't it? That's what Rodney P, Black Twang, and Ty were trying to do with Kingdom. You know, unfortunately.
Just thinking outside the box on something like that scenario, that could be an Arts Council funding bid, because it promotes the history of UK hip hop and celebrates that. And
you're not wrong there.
Get a pen ready, Fred. But certainly that could certainly be something that they would probably look favourably on for what it is.
Yeah.
Ticks a
So,
lot of
also
boxes.
I would say is to do it, and whatever city they hit, they can only have support acts from that area.
Yeah. Sounds even better.
To be on support acts from that area, so that would also promote sort of that cross-cultural old and new. Do you know what I mean? Totally. So the next generations get them on at the same time.
Exactly, Fred. That's one of the things that's really excited me about hip hop in this country. There's a strong underground scene if you really look for it, and every city, every town has got people who making this stuff and doing this stuff and living this stuff at the highest levels and just loving it and experiencing it. And I love investigating and finding out who these people are and getting to know a little bit about their ends and learning about that, and also the similarities that we share.
My only worry with that is that I do find some people are too pure.
Yeah. There are tons of that, Fred.
They won't let hip hop or UK hip hop evolve. They've got a fixed idea of what hip hop is, and what's allowed in their hip hop sphere and what's not allowed. So when they turn around and say, well, actually, we're not going to allow, say, Gigs as an example, as a rapper, you mightn't like him, but you can't turn around and say that, well, he's this because you don't like him or because he's not the old school. I have a problem with that, because I think I don't like Drake. He bores us. I don't like Lil Wayne. He bores us. However, they're still rapping. Yeah. You mightn't think it's hip hop because obviously money spoiled a lot of things, and I get that, I suppose. Yeah. But you've got to remember, why do we allow Ice Cube to be hip hop, but then we don't allow other people who made money at the time, because they made thousands at the time at one point. Yeah. And they weren't exactly hip hop minded anymore, as in, community spirited and all of that type of stuff. But we still allow them and call them old school hip hop. But we don't allow some of the new schoolers who do exactly the same, who are doing it for the cash. We don't do it, and I do have a problem with that. I don't like it. I just don't buy it. I don't listen to it. I don't buy it. I tune in on Spotify and stuff to see what I'm missing. Realize I don't like it, and I just come back out again and say it's not for me.
It's not for you. It's not for you, Fred. But at least you've tried and checked it out and gave it the time. And you're not necessarily dismissing these people because they don't resonate with you. Drake's not making songs for you. It's not making songs for me, and that's cool. So I'm not supposed to really get that. But I appreciate how other people can enjoy it. Yeah,
but what I would say is I still buy British. So I've just recently bought Dave's new album.
Dope, man. Yeah,
I think it's quality, and I love the song. Guilty something or other, I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know the album, but he's a great artist. I just wish you'd for me, I come from hip hop artist, spectacular names. Dave seems just a little bit lost in a Google search.
Yeah, but I suppose you could also argue.
But I like that. It's hip hop, it's keeping it real. I like that too.
Keith Murray did the same thing, didn't you? I remember when I was like, what kind of name's Keith Murray? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're right. Hero name, He was
one of the first to just go his name.
He's got a song on there called Guilty Something or Other. If you look at my Facebook, I posted it last night. I just think it's tremendous. The lyrics in it, and his wordplay on it, I like what he's saying, the story he's telling. He's a very good storyteller. And it's from the heart. It's about the relationship he had with somebody. And the racism that involved in it, because she's not black.
Okay.
It's just really interesting what he comes out with.
I would check that for sure.
Check it out. It's really, really good. It's called Guilty Something or Other. I just think it's really good. But I think it's a good album. I really do. So I still check some of the younger ones out. Yeah. And every once in a while I find a gem and think, well, I like that. I'm gonna get that.
There's a lot. There's gems out there, Fred.
Yeah.
A lot of people who call themselves hip hop heads who are in our generation switched themselves off to hip hop 20 years ago, Fred. I don't think that really truly makes you a hip hop head.
No,
To
I
be
don't
honest,
think so
because
either.
there's good hip hop getting made right now, all over the place. And from some of the older artists, Method Man's 50 plus, and he's the best MC he's ever been right now.
Right. Okay.
He's smashing it right now.
Okay.
Lyricism, flows, beats. People are not checking for them. People are switched off in that. But Method Man's, he's a hip hop head. He's just built
still
for
want
this.
36 chambers, though, don't they? People still want 36 chambers.
People want that. Method's evolved.
Yeah.
As flows and his lyricism these days.
Agree with you.
It's amazing. You know what I mean?
And the interesting thing is as well about that is that when you look at when people first listened to hip hop, when you were talking about breakdancing days and the music that was coming out then, that evolved. So, you know, people aren't listening to Mantronics anymore as an example. Yeah. No. People jump from Mantronics and then jump to Ice-T and NWA.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever.
So
kept on evolving. And then all of a sudden it got to a certain and they stopped and said, right, we're not going past this year. It's gone too far. But actually, if they look back on the history, they evolved with different types of music.
Hip hop was everything when I grew up. Hip hop was cartoons, it was electro, it was rock, it was live bands, it was samples, it was jazz, it was techno.
It was guys in sequence and lace. It was
everything.
It was everything. And makeup. Yeah. And
all that.
And bucket hats and
kind of like it is just now as well. People don't see that similarity, but I think if you're around long enough, you do see it. Like Q-tips, Dassies, everything goes in cycles.
Yes, it does, definitely.
We're running there.
Crispy 3, what's your favourite song?
Pop Like Bubblegum. You can't go Pop Like Bubblegum.
I think that's the song I was talking about.
Yeah, they released that as a 12-inch. Beats tremendous. The flows are tremendous. The lyricism's amazing. It's just smashed it. I've actually used that instrumental for one of our freestyles for a DJ Disorder mixtape years ago. Big shout out to Disorder, who does a lot for UK hip hop for years.
I was at a gig at Manchester with Julie from the Vinyl Vandals, and Julie knows them. Julie knows some of the Crispy 3.
Oh, amazing! Amazing. Never did honor.
I laughed because she looked at us and says, "Oh." Because, you know, for those who already know, my two uncles, my dad's two brothers were in a group called Osabisa from the 70s.
Okay.
Who basically started a group that was Afro rock inspired. And the Crispy 3 nicked one of their beats, and I said, give my uncles some royalty use. They never paid for it. They just sneaked it out.
Yeah, I don't imagine Crispy got paid much either from Cold Sweat, but yeah, they have the legacy of making amazing tunes, and Pop Like Bubblegum's a banger. Still sounds good to this day. Still stands up to this day. Not a lot of old school hip hop from UK or US. If you listen to it these days, it's kind of cringy. Some of it. Some of the things you think, oh, that was banging back in the day.
Yeah.
No, they stand up.
I totally agree. Okay.
Classics. Yep.
Junior Disbro, is that what you've got next?
Yeah, man. We're going about the country a little bit today. We started in London and then we went to Lancashire, and now we're going to South Wales with Junior Disbro, an artist formerly known as the F. A man who a lot of people have probably heard on songs, but just never know who he is. He's a man who doesn't shout his own praises enough when it comes to his music. The real heads really, really know this guy as well, man. His stuff he's been about for 30 years. He's been about since Hip Hop Connection, putting adverts for tapes in the back of the magazine.
I remember.
Just $2.99 postal orders. He's been about since then. He's the UK. I want to say answer to MF Doom, but in terms of his dark lyricism, his voice, and his constructs of his songs and the beats he chooses, and he's always been like that even before probably Doom was a thing. Definitely an inspiring MC. Really like his accent too. He's got this South Wales voice, but it's raspy. It's almost got a reggae tone to it as well. Exciting artist. His concepts, what he raps about, can be dark, but not dark for the extent of it's horrorcore. It's not in that lane. It's just intriguingly. It's a bit like slightly sinister to it when you want to find out a bit more. He doesn't give all the game away with his lyrics. Had the pleasure of collaborating with him a few times in life, meeting him, and staying in his family house for a couple of weeks through connecting with him through selling tapes through Hip Hop Connection back in the day.
Nice.
That was our link to get travel the UK. We would buy a tape from Junior Disbro. He would buy our tape. Then we'd have the addresses. Then we'd have a phone number. Then we'd phone, and then, you know what, we're going to drive down this summer. Can you put us up in your house? Never met people before, and just hit the road and go and meet hip hop heads. And we would drive from Glasgow, and we would go to stop in Carlisle for the night, and we would stay with a band there called Knights of the Templar, who had another tape out, and their tape was really good as well. Again, discovering this local hip hop scene, and then we would go to Manchester, and we would stay with the Caliphs just before
I've got some of that stuff back here.
Just before they blew up. We were quite friendly with them, and we used to do support slots for them quite a lot. And then we'd go to Wales and stay with Junior Disbro. That was your hip hop school in lots of ways, getting out of Glasgow and saying, you know what, we're going to go and get in front of these people and rap with them and make songs with them and let them know that we exist. And everyone we met had so much love for each other in terms of the respect.
Yeah,
I think we all felt a bit isolated, whether you were in Carlisle or Manchester or Glasgow or South Wales.
Yeah,
the commonality of your love of hip hop brought us all together. But Junior Disbro, the F, Matt Herbert, he's got a lot of names. Amazing MC, really underground, really underground. This stuff.
Because I don't know much about them.
Yeah, no, I get that, Fred. I get that, really underground.
Is that the album you would recommend me to get?
Yeah, Death Valley, his new one, comes on Green Wax.
That's a new album, is it?
Yeah.
What about his old stuff? If I was going to get into it, what would you suggest I listen to first?
Any of it. Again, I think for Junior Disbro, any of his stuff. He had a band called Dead Residents that were out on a Bristol label called SFDB,
right?
Which stood for Same Family, Different Ball Bag. And they released lots of classic underground hip hop in Cardiff and Bristol about the time, but very underground. No distributors or anything like that. If you didn't really know people, you probably wouldn't get to know these records, unfortunately. But amazing records. And when you hear Junior Disbro's voice, even if you don't know the name, you go, I know that voice. I've heard that. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. I know that. So check out Junior Disbro. Yeah.
And that album's called what?
Death Valley. Talking about
Death Valley.
Death Valley, as in
Valley.
The valleys. Yeah. He's from the South Wales and the valleys. I guess as a reference to his life in that area. To it.
Okay.
I love the beats on this album. Some of the beats are just the most cheekiest samples you could ever use. Blatant 16 bars out of somebody else's song. But it's cheeky and it really works for the flow. And it's 16 bars of someone else's song that no one else would ever use. It's maybe just too cocktail music sounding or just a bit weird. But it works so well with his flow and his lyricism.
Right.
It just stands out as a project. And then really good MC, really good album. Lots of great songs on it. It's really hard for me to pick one on it. The one I'm going to pick is one called It's On. It's AWWWN. Right. And I think there's a video on YouTube for that.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Well.
Definitely.
A big shout out to Junior Disbro, shining lights on just these mad, talented UK people. These records are classics to me. And other people might say, I've never heard of it. But it's fine. It's still a classic to me. Still a classic to me. And maybe they'll go and check it out and enjoy it as well.
The Vinyl Vandals podcast is definitely an education for me, for the other guys,
for me too.
Don, Julian, Riddler, and for everybody else who tunes in. Everybody's telling us that all the time. They're going to go and check this out because they didn't know about it, or you know
who knows this? Riddler knows all this.
Yeah.
Riddler knows all this.
Yeah.
Because he knows my old stuff. He knows the tapes from back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was in that circle, connected through Hip Hop Connection, etc.
Yeah.
So he'd be up on Junior Disbro.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. But some of the stuff, some of the stuff that I brought to the table, he doesn't know.
Exactly.
Check out, so
exactly.
He was living in his lane, and I was living in my lane at the time. You know what I mean? not
that's
living far from each other in Newcastle, but we didn't know each other until more recently, you know.
Junior Discbrawl's the later generation of UK hip hop,
right,
as well. Maybe mid-90s.
Right. Okay. That's when I started having babies and not having as much money in my pocket, you know. So. Are you there?
Coming up like that. Yeah, just a little bit of a delay. Just a wee bit of a delay, man.
Yeah, sorry, the internet's gone a bit funny there. Are you?
Great. Sorry, Fred. That's all good. Switch your mic on, pal. Switch your mic. Switch your mic.
Right. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Great.
think it was my end, so it's not you. I think it was my.
It's good. It's a warning that I'm waffling a lot, so I appreciate that. No, check out Junior Discbrawl.
I will check him out. Definitely.
Classic UK
I'll go to Red Lighthouse and see if he's got any of his stuff, and I'll nick it off him.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So give us a bit more of your history then. So we left you break dancing and so can I ask you about what made you? Because obviously some people might know this, but obviously you're a music maker. So tell us a bit about how you then started deciding to go from being a fan to participant.
Hard, Fred. Hard. Being a person who had no money and coming from a poor background to make that for someone to even believe that I could be creative, it's hard. Even my own parents, it was like that, because they only expected me just to. They didn't want me to have aspirations that I was going to try and achieve. Yes, which is a bit shit to think, but I guess it was a protective thing there too, in lots of ways. So not hard. Being a white guy as well, hard too, to be a Scottish voice.
Yes.
Shouting, I want to rap. No, pal, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be doing the factory, working. So a constant struggle. I remember one time I managed to get money and I bought my first turntable. I knew that was my way into making music. Having a Technics turntable and being able to scratch. If I could do that, then I could go to other people and say, hey, I can do this. Let me join the bands. And that's kind of what I've done. Got a turntable, learned a little basic scratching, introduced myself to a couple of local rappers. They were blown away by this basic scratching, and we sort of made a band together. But for years I only had one turntable because that was all I could afford. And then one day I had money to buy another turntable. And at the time, Technics were about £300. And I thought I could buy a turntable or I could buy a 4-track recorder. And that could be the equivalent of 4 turntables for me. And that could mean I could do this and I could do that and I could make this happen. So I bought the 4-track recorder. And that took me down a different path, more of a production path, rather than just scratching. I'm layering stuff, layering vocals, making demos and making songs and really getting a passion for that. Just a wee tape 4-track recorder thing. Yeah. Eventually we would go to studios. Me and my friends would hire a studio for a couple of hours and go there. After we got to know the studio, eventually the engineer trusted us quite a lot. And he would go away and do what he'd done and just left us there. And that gave me a chance to really learn, to work the samplers, work out what was a MIDI, what did that mean, how do you use effects, all that sort of really, really basic stuff, but really important stuff. I got really early. And then one of the older people that I spoke about earlier on, who came from my community, seen that I was into my music, seen that I was doing pretty good at it, and I was going to studios, and thought, I'm going to make a record label. And he put out, he made this record label called Devil Discs. Devil meaning at the time there was a whole thing about the white man was the devil and all that, and rap. So we sort of embraced that a little bit, and we were kids as well. So he called his label Devil Discs, and he signed us to it, and he managed to get money to put out a vinyl record of our first record. On that record, we changed from being American style rappers to being Scottish based rappers. We embraced our own accent. And it's probably the first time on a record that the Scottish accent was used in a real authentic hip hop voice.
Okay.
It was used in comedy before. There was other people kidding on Scottish rap, I can't know that. But as an authentic hip hop voice, it was probably this record in 1993 that we made. The record was called But We're Different. That was us embracing our Scottishness, embracing we had these mad accents. At the time, everyone was rapping American, everyone sounded like Ice-T, everyone sounded like Tough Crew. We liked that, but we knew it wasn't us. We just knew it. We knew when we took our demos back to the studio, we knew this didn't feel like us. It sounds good, but it's not me. So we changed that. We actually maybe went too far with that record. We sampled bagpipes because we embraced our Scottishness. We sampled the Average White Band, who were a Dundee-based funk band.
Is that where they're from? Dundee, is it?
Yeah, man.
That's a lesson. Okay.
Yes. We just these not just because we're Scottish, Fred, but also because the Average White Band were records I had my parents' crates.
Yes.
Similar to the crates that you had access to would be different.
Yeah.
My crates were the Average White Band, Pink Floyd's, ELO, and that was my parents' crates that I had to pick my samples from. So my music sounded a bit different. I never had soul crates and James Brown crates to pick from, but I liked that because that made me sound different.
Yeah,
and it kept me authentic to making hip hop.
Yeah.
So in 1993, made the first rap record in Scotland, and Scottish voice, I would say. Just never stopped doing it, Fred. Just kept chatting, making things happen. There was nobody out there that said, here's money, or here's a great opportunity. I made it all happen.
So can I ask you, what were some of your first names of your groups at the time?
One of my first groups was called Sons of the Devil, going back to that Devil Disc thing. Again, it was a UK rap song. I can't remember who done it, but they made a song called Sons of the Devil. Someone who can comment on this and they'll know. But it was a UK rap song called Sons of the Devil. It was a banging song, and we liked the name. And again, Ice Cube was calling us the white people devil, and that we just thought, okay, Sons of the Devil, we'll call our wee band that. Power Move was the first band that we released on vinyl.
Okay.
Power Move.
The vinyl.
Yeah, man, still got the vinyl. I sent it to Riddler. I sent Riddler one.
Nice one.
Yeah, it's not the greatest song in the world at all. We were very much kids and very much learning and thrown in at the deep end. But that's how you learn. And that's how you cut your teeth and you get to know things and you make more records and you start to learn more studio technique. And 10 years later, the music sounds good. The music doesn't sound good straight away. You evolve into that. And just stuck at my guns, Fred, found a lane, decided that I was going to do hip hop as a thing. And that meant for me years being unemployed, so to speak, because I didn't have any qualifications.
Yeah.
I didn't fit in anywhere, and I felt I had no confidence to even try and apply for jobs because I didn't have any qualifications or little experience. If I was working, it was in a laundry or a kitchen porter or something. But I kept hanging in there. Well, hip hop's my thing. Just practice and practice and practice. Keep at it. And one day I'd visualise what can I do with my hip hop skills, and I'd say to myself, well, with these music skills I've got, the kind of jobs I could get is I could work in radio. I thought, and I used to walk to this college course that the Brew put me on every day. I had no money to go, and it was learning about music, and I used to go because I wanted to learn more detail about production. But every day I'd walk past a radio station and I would look at it and I'd say, you know what, I'm going to get a job in there when I finish this course. And again, no qualifications at this time, but I just had this sort of belief in manifesting that I was going to do that. Didn't end up getting a job in that station, but ended up starting a radio station, which 20 years later, it's still my job.
Yeah.
So you manifest things, you know what I mean, as well, and it's still music related. And the radio station I work for, it's very much hip hop. It's very much hip hop, even though we're a community station. It's managed by me, and I'm a hip hop head, so that means the people around me are going to be probably influenced by hip hop and supporters of it. And we're one of the few voices that promote Scottish hip hop and play the records. And recently we gave away hip hop bursaries to people so they could actually get a little bit of investment in their hip hop career as well. So really all about, as a radio station, we're still all about the hip hop community as well. because that's my community. And hip hop is for the community, Fred, as you know, that a lot of people forgot.
Yes.
Hip hop started for the community.
It's one of the main
you know what, and I know you're involved in the community today.
I believe in it passionately. So it's nice to hear somebody else does as well.
Yeah, that's hip hop. Some of the biggest hip hop heads I know, Fred, don't listen to hip hop, but the activities they do, their community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was alluding to before. My dad is hip hop through and through, even though he doesn't.
Big shout to your dad. Big shout to your dad.
He doesn't even know it. Yeah. Okay. Next album.
Okay, let's go for this one. Another classic. I swear by this one as well, is one of my favourites in life, full stop. From Yorkshire, from Leeds, round about that area, York, New Flesh for Old. Big Dada, the UK label's first release was a New Flesh record. That's how much they had belief in that band and their voices from, like I say, Leeds, Yorkshire. 3 members, part 2, the producer, Toasty Taylor, the MC, Juicer Liam, the MC. 3 talented fuckers, man.
Is Juicer Liam not from Birmingham?
So Juice is from Birmingham, but yeah, you're right. Yes, from Birmingham. Totally right. They're based in Yorkshire and Leeds, so I think Leeds is probably central.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, York, etc. 3 talented people. Part 2, the producer. His beats on these records are so futuristic, so ahead of what was going on at the time. They were very, sometimes abstract, but very interesting, very abrasive, but at the same time musical, experimental, but at the same time listenable. So he managed to sort of balance it so it was cutting edge, but still we can listen to this. We can play this in the club, this record. And I certainly did. Runs this when I was DJing it a lot. Toasty Taylor. Toasty is an MC. It's 5 different MCs. He's goes into characters. He's got his toaster character, his toasting character. He's got his hardcore rap character. He's got different voices that he puts on. Before Slim Shady and all that stuff, Toasty Taylor was in about different characters, different textures with his voice. Toasty could sing. Toasty could rap. Toasty could just flow for days, man. His rap's impeccable. Toasty's dad was the UK's strongest man at one point. Yeah, big shout out to Toasty. I really got to know these boys as well. After this album came out, I got sent this album from a UK promo company called Zonkt, who used to send DJs promos at the time. Yeah. And I got sent this, and I got sent it on my birthday. And I was probably in a good mood because it's my birthday, but I'm a Libra, and Libra is the scales. And this album's called Equilibrium, which is a balance. So I liked that straight away, and it came my birthday. I thought, oh, that's a cool thing. Put it on, loved the tunes, loved the beats. Haven't even spoke about Juicer Liam's flow yet and what he means for UK rap. Juicer Liam is a don when it comes to UK rap. Another MC that if he was London-based, he's a legend. Yeah. He's an uncertified legend, but because he's just slightly north and he's out the loop a little bit from opportunities, too far to jump on the tube to go to this meeting, he's not getting the gig. These guys invited us to play support for them about a week after I got this album in their show in Glasgow. Didn't know them before this, really got to know them at the show by hanging out with them and drinking with them, and just with so much in common, and I had so much respect because I loved the fucking album. I loved it, and really got to know them throughout the years, so much so that they're all good friends, basically. Part 2, Toasty and Juicer Liam. Juicer Liam comes up sometimes to stay up here in Glasgow, record some music, but mostly just to hang out with us, to see the city. We go down to Birmingham, play at his. He's got a festival thing that goes on down in Birmingham in the summer. I can't remember what it's called. We play it down there for him. Toasty I haven't seen in a while, but he would come up to Glasgow as well. He was always chasing different women about different places. He was often up on a train looking for a couch to stay on and then recording as well. Part 2 was just so much similar to us as well. Quite a normal just person, that really resonated with these boys. But the talent of them, phenomenal. Juice Aleem, best battle rapper in the country. I think he's beat everyone who says they're top. They all say, "Oh, that one guy could Birmingham," and they're talking about Juice Aleem, whether it be Skinny Man or whoever. These people talk about who they bet Eminem, they bet these people. Who did you lose to? Well, that one kid for Birmingham that came down. That's Juice Aleem, man. Flow's incredible, beats incredible, super deep with the lyrics, really scientific, but not just for the sake of it, for the showing there's a point, and let's learn together and let's express that we're actually beyond this wee bubble of existence right now, and we can think clever and we can think bigger. Just Aleem's been on to do a lot of work promoting Afrocentric stuff. He's wrote books about it and all that, and there's elements of this, lots of elements of that in this album as well. Very thought-provoking. Two double album, Alpha, Beta, Theta, and Delta, A, B, C, and D. That's the way they're thinking. The artwork's just pure abstract. The imagery's pure abstract. It's just classic album. And again, a wee pocket of UK rap who doesn't get the shine, but a massive influence on me. And I think a lot of other people really dig this and don't maybe know, they forget about how good this is. So good to be able to shine that tonight, Fred. Good to be able to shine that.
I'll have a go at that. So what's your favourite song?
My favourite song off of this is going to be Eye of the Hurricane. Although there's so many as well. I think Eye of the Hurricane's a video too. So many good tunes. Tunes on that I played, like I say, when I was DJing it. They were buying tunes. Even if you're playing the US bangers and it's a club environment and people are dancing, some of them could slide in there, but still be abstract with a thought and still be this is real hip hop.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check it out. Okay, so
yeah, appreciate that, Fred.
No, nice one. So just before you do your last one, we'll just finish up your hip hop history.
Yeah.
We got to you. Obviously, you're producing now. When you're making music, you got your 4-track and stuff like that. When I was at Lindisfarne, you were in Don's tent. Shout out to Don.
Big shout out Don, man. Big up, Don.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, you need to come and see these guys. You'll like them, Fred. You'll like them." And I said, "Oh, okay. Give us a shout when they're on." So luckily, I wasn't doing anything at the time. I slipped across from our tent to your tent, and I saw you. And I was blown away because I hadn't seen you before. I didn't know much about you, and also the young guys that you had on stage as well.
Yeah, man.
And so, do you do a lot of music with the Freestyle Master?
Yeah, Freestyle Master is my rapping compadre from the 80s, breakdancing.
Right, okay.
We used to breakdance together. We used to slide on the lino outside my granny's house. That was the start of our hip hop journey. And thankfully, we're still, I don't know if I would be in this position if it didn't have someone so strongly into what he does as well. Because he takes his craft in terms of freestyling and rapping very, very seriously, and his love of hip hop second to none, like mine as well. And the culture. I don't know if I would be in this situation or in my life would be in this path if I didn't have a person around me with the same blindness to hip hop as well, blinkedness to it. So big shout out to Freestyle Master for sure. What colors with him? He keeps me right. Got a new album coming soon with him. Lots of working, like you say, the young people. It's just CCTV who are two young boys who basically chat to door at a radio station and says, "Look, we rap today." And at that time, they rap, but they didn't rap. These days, they rap. You know what I mean? They've sort of been mentored. They've been through they've done their groundwork. They've done an apprenticeship as it should be. They've carried their crates. You know what I mean by that? They've done that as they should, and they appreciate hip hop. They young, 22 in the moment. We're a bit there. That age, they young boys appreciate Master Ace. They appreciate the old school hip hop. They started with their Eminems, not that their journeys, but they certainly their knowledge nowadays goes back to everything. They still don't know everything. There are a lot of things they don't know, about the music scene, which is at 23, I didn't know every band. I still don't know every band. No way can I know every band. And that's why we sort of kind of need to focus or be laying a bit. But just to say a wee point before I forget, Fred, about the hip hop heads, I wish some of the older heads would check some of the newer stuff more.
I know.
Because that's really, there's so much energy out the young people, and a lot of them are doing really, really authentic hip hop. And you can tell they've studied it, and you can tell they know about Schoolie D, they know about these artists, they're name checking these things, they're referencing them in their songs. Kind of let the old people know. And stuff.
It's funny that you say that, because I've always had this discussion. Obviously, my youth work, and I've worked with young people who've done MCing over like sort of techno beats to young people that do who MC over sort of like what they class as rap beats. Okay. And you know, and there's been sort of discussions and arguments where I've said, you know, it's a shame you don't check out some of the Run DMC and Public Enemy type stuff, and they're like, that's old stuff, that's for your granddad. And you know, and I laugh. And we've had discussions about it and just said, you know, I've always given the old man routine of like, you know, a tree without roots isn't a tree. Yeah. Okay.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
It's gonna wither and die. Okay. So I'm not saying that you should copy that, but you should know where it's come from and why it is what it is. I just think I just believe that anyway, and that's what I've said to them. They don't want to do it, that's fine. And I think I have to respect that. I can't make them listen to Run DMC. I can't make them listen to Grandmaster Flash or anything else. That's just, it is what it is. Okay. They think it's bizarre that people spin on their heads and do all of that type of stuff. They think that's bizarre.
Funny thing is, Fred, Run DMC is massive right now on TikTok with the kids.
Yes, it is, because yes. Yeah.
So yeah, they do like it, but they don't like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, what I get annoyed about is that people turn around and say, well, that's not hip hop, or that's not rap, or that's something else. And it's like, to me, it's like they're doing what, you know, I'm not a musician, like you know, I don't make beats. I'm not a DJ. I don't, you know, I put records on. I'm a selector, if you want to call it that. I put records on, and that's it. I like listening to my tunes. And people have asked us to play those tunes, right? So I'm not saying I'm any of that. Okay, I'm not a producer, although I'd like to learn to be produced, because I love to make my own beats. That's something else. But what I get annoyed about, I suppose, is that they're enjoying themselves, like you were talking about when you first got your techniques and you were doing your thing. Now they've got computers and they've got Macs and they're doing it there a different way. Yes, because technology's changed. Yeah. And they're embracing different things. So Afrobeat at the moment is very popular, and a lot of the young kids that I've worked with are embracing some of their African culture. And they're rapping over sort of Afrobeat type stuff, which
likewise up here.
Nothing wrong with that. I keep saying it, but it's like, if you don't like it, move on. You know, let them do what they want to do and let them enjoy it, and don't sort of like scorn on them. Be happy that they're discovering music.
That's it.
Like, you discovered music when your dad was saying to you, this is just noise. Let them make their noise. That's what I wanted to do. You know,
just to say that my dad was a guitar tutor, but he actually passed away just as I was getting into hip hop, so he didn't really see me being a musician. But I think he would have been encouraging to me. But my mom wasn't that way inclined. Just for a record, but respect to her, she was protecting me. She just thought we weren't about to be showbiz, or especially this rap stuff. That was coming out of these ghetto blasters and sounding like robots. You know what I mean? There was no way a wee boy was supposed to be doing that. But it can be done, folks. And hip hop and music's for everybody, Fred. So I'm like you. I love to see people embrace it, whether they're rapping to happy hardcore, doing a karaoke, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just such a nice thing. It takes a lot for people to express themselves, and if they're doing it, then it should be applauded straight away. You know what I mean? And me and you come from a community background, and we know that's them.
Yes.
Able to express themselves, communicating, enjoying the moment, maybe forgetting about the traumas for 30 seconds of their life and the shit out the door when they're doing that. But that's great. That's that release of that time, and it's a beautiful thing. And music's therapy, and it should be remembered that even these days that you know, Fred, kids are engaging with hip hop, but it's a different kind of hip hop.
Yes.
We just need to be there to support it as the audience.
Some of these young people that I'm working with and I have worked with, they're putting on their own nights.
Listen to you at night, but respect.
Yeah. Some of these young people I'm working with, they're putting on their own nights. They're trying to do their own things. And to me, that's hip hop. You know, they're putting stuff on for their peers. They're trying to organize different things. And to me, that is hip hop. That's what it's about as well. You know, some of these other guys have never put anything on for anybody because they just care about themselves. So, you know, I think that people just need to move on. Anyway, are you still there?
Yeah. Okay. Still here, Fred. I know your connection's a wee bit dodgy, my man. Still there.
Okay. So, your last album.
That's okay. We'll catch up.
Yeah. Off you go.
So for my final album today, I'm going to look at some album from some young people in hip hop. Cult of the Damned, their album called The Cult of. Cult of the Damned are 5 or 6 MCs from various parts of the UK who all come together under the moniker The Cult of the Damned. They represent Runcorn, London, Manchester, you name it. There's 5 or 6 different accents on the one song on some of these albums as well. These young people are making the highest quality hip hop. You know what I mean? And I think the audience don't even know about it. They're not even looking at it. This album here, Fred, this came out about a month ago and it sold out within 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yep. So within 3 minutes or something like that, because that's how much demand by people to buy this music there is. The young people that love UK hip hop, it's not like people who we know or who might come to a Black Twang show, but they'll find out eventually who Black Twang is. This is ran by a guy called Lee Scott. Lee Scott is one of these guys who just makes hundreds and hundreds of top quality music, and for years he just kept plodding away. Wee guy from Runcorn area, probably been a lot of things, but he's just said, you can't rap. People from Runcorn can't rap. What are you talking about? You're going to be a battle rapper. But he just kept doing it. In 2021, his records are cult status. This record at the moment will cost you £200 on Discogs. And it was £30 a month ago. Wow. Because of the demand for what these guys do. Again, it's really high quality hip hop. It's boom bap hip hop. It's not grime. It's not new school, although it is new style boom bap. The lyricism is tremendous. The different styles of MCs is tremendous. The textures they use in their voices is great. The whole concept is great. They put out, this record's only out in vinyl just now, Fred. You can't even download this. You can't get this on Spotify. The only way to hear this is to have the record.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
And there only is like 300 of these.
Yeah.
And if you're not going out, you can't hear it right now. And these are young people, you know what I mean, who, for whatever reason, think, fuck it, I'm just going to keep my stuff on wax and make it for the purists, for the real heads.
Okay.
The packaging for these things is tremendous, Fred. They don't muck about. It's the gatefolds with all the lyrics.
Right. Nice.
Gatefolds with all the lyrics. Did you see the vinyl for this? One record looks like that.
Wow.
Right? Let's have a look at the second record. The attention to detail with this thing, Fred, is amazing. Second one looks like that. I know I'm holding it dodgy, but it is what it is.
I bet that looks good when it goes round on a record.
Amazing. It looks amazing. Yeah. Sounds really, really good as well. Again, these MCs are all 25, 30, that age group. Older cats, I've never heard of them. I say, you heard the Cult of the Damned, Lee Scott, never heard of them. Show them a few videos, they love it. Oh, they get it. No, these boys know hip hop.
Can you check them on YouTube? Can you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is underground, but these boys are blown up underground as well.
Okay.
They also release limited edition clothes now, and they sell straight away. They've got this whole cult thing going on right now. And if you don't get the products quick, then you don't get it. The marketing's really good. The market's really, really good.
Yeah.
Music's really good too.
Have we
Videos are really
got
good.
young people following them as well?
Oh, it's mostly young people. I think I'm the only old head who knows, shouts about them. I'd really shout about a lot of the artists on the label, like Lee Scott. There's an artist called Black Josh on the label.
I know that name.
Yeah, man, he's dope MC, an artist. Lots of dope MCs on the Cult of the Damned, and on the label's called Blah Records.
Right.
And they put out beautiful bits of vinyl, limited edition with high quality underground rap on it, and a lot like it's like say boom bap, beautiful music, beautiful sample based production. So definitely recommend them for my final choice today. My 5 can be different next week, but I really appreciate your time and listening to me bump my gums about these tunes.
It's been fascinating. I've loved it.
I appreciate it. Me too, Fred. Appreciate that.
Different as well, because obviously, you know, everyone that I've interviewed has been different, and that's what I've valued the most.
Yeah, man.
Obviously, you've come with a completely different thing altogether, you know. And obviously, you're the second person that I've interviewed from Scotland, so I don't think I've had enough people from Scotland.
Big shout out to Shelto Mel. I watched all one.
Yeah, Shelto Mel, yeah.
She's a good friend.
Nice one. Good to hear. Good people.
Good people.
And what I would ask you to do is, if some of you got any recommendations of people you think should be on the show, please send them my way so I can interview them. Like, you know,
I think Freestyle Master would be a good one.
I definitely would have him on.
He's not as big a collector as me, but he's got some joints.
Yeah,
he's certainly got some joints.
I still want to hear what he's got to see anyway.
He's been about long enough.
What I'd love to do is CCTV. I'd get some young heads on. We don't have enough young people on here, because I don't think I'd like to hear their sort of like their take on what is classic to them.
That'd be dope to find out.
Yes.
No, that sounds really fun, and I'm sure we can make that happen, Fred.
If you can get those two on, that would be brilliant. I'd like to interview them both together, if that's okay.
You're making it happen right now. You're making that happen. We're saying that right now, Fred. It's going to happen. Yeah, dope.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you for your time tonight, Fred.
Before you go, can you tell us what's in the pipeline from you and the Freestyle Master? Is there anything in the pipeline that's coming out?
New album in the pipeline from myself, Steg G and the Freestyle Master. Shit untitled, I think. Well, 2/3 into it. We're quite quick working, especially when it comes to the end of projects. Probably it might be January though before we drop it, just because it's
will that be on vinyl?
Nearly. No, but we wanted it to be on vinyl, but there's such a shortage of stuff, and it's a 9-month wait nearly now, and I can't wait 9 months, Fred. I have to put it out. Maybe a month I could wait, 2 months I could probably wait, 9 months I couldn't sit on it, and I don't think I can put a project out in say January and then September say here's the vinyl for that project. The momentum's gone.
You could do a limited run though. I'm sure people would like to hear a limited run or a
there is that, and I'm definitely keen to get vinyl. Hopefully it catches up and things speed up a wee bit. So you never know. We are talking about putting out an anthology of our back catalogue on vinyl.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah,
as a digital thing as well, because we do have a lot of bits and pieces that people might have missed throughout the years. So we'll probably do that in 2022. And lots of cool projects. I just done a song with Don the other day. Don done a song to one of my tracks, Donald. Looking forward. I haven't heard it back yet.
Right, you little sneak, never told us that one, Don, did you?
I've spilt the beans there. Big shout out to Don. It's good to build bridges, no pun intended, with yourselves and ourselves, and I look forward to some more building bridges and some physicals. Maybe we can get a couple of jams together at some point.
I think it would be good if we could get you down here at some point as well. Because
likewise, we'll make it happen, Fred. We'll make it happen. There's only a couple of those drive for us, and likewise, and we'll make it happen. Let's talk soon and organise that. It's been a pleasure tonight, Fred.
No, thank you very much. Okay.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome, brother.
Just before we go, just to say, I am a Vinyl Vandal. I am King Fred. You can catch me and John, because we are Seven Bridges, and we have a show once a month on Method Radio called the Seven Bridges Mix. You can catch us, I think it's every 4th Monday of the month. Yes, it is. You can also catch me, like I said before, I'm not a DJ, but I love spinning tunes. I play a lot of my dad's old record collection and new stuff I've been picking up. It's music from the African continent and the African diaspora. The music tends to be mainly from the 70s, because that's when I listened to the stuff the most when I was growing up. And that's when most of my dad's record collection is even older than that, but that's where most of it's played. So if you like digging in crates for samples, you need to listen to my show, which comes out once a month, 2 hours on a Saturday, and it's called Crisscross Rhythms. So if you like African funk, your African soul, your African disco, your African jazz, traditional music, sort of like tribal chants and drumming, my show is the one to catch. Okay, don't forget you've got DJ Riddler every week. He does a 2-hour show called the Vinyl Vandals Hip Hop Show on a Monday night. And you can also catch him on a Monday night straight after that. He stays on for an extra hour and he does his Weird Fish. Okay, so there's plenty of us to go on for everybody. So don't forget to catch us out. Peace.
Thank you very much, Fred.